Let's talk about a segment that we don't talk about often.
What's that?
Trucks. Electric trucks. A lot of them coming. I think we're in the beginning of the electric truck era. We had 2019, 2020, 2021 really was like luxury sports sedans.
Or crossovers.
Lucid, Model S Plaid, Porsche Taycan, now the Audi e-tron GT. We've had the crossover segment. Mach-E, Model Y, Kona, Bolt.
ID4.
The thing that's been on the back burner in the electric vehicle revolution is trucks. There isn't one at all. 0 electric trucks on the road today. Not even one. But they're all coming pretty soon. And I'm basically all together.
Yeah, the release windows seem to be pretty close to each other.
The Cybertruck, of course, coming in 2022?
2021, allegedly.
Yeah, but like
the very
starting
tail
production. I think it'll be like the Mach-E in 2020. It's, yeah, sure, we started and sold 3 cars.
We'll see. But yeah.
Rivian's supposed to come out a lot sooner. They will be the first, right?
Mm-hmm.
In June or July?
Yeah, should be. Everything we say is a should be case, but you never know what's going to happen.
F-150 is not scheduled for 2022?
I want to say yes. Perhaps early 2023.
Who else is left? We have Atlas, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They were supposed to come out last year, didn't come out, and now we're supposed to come out by the end of this year.
Right. We have the Hummer Evie, which is...
When's that? What's the release on that?
Isn't it 2022 also, I want to say? I don't remember if they're doing...
That's a little expensive, but the price will gradually go down every year.
Yeah.
As they release a lower term with that one.
The price and the performance will go down up to 2024, which please refer to our previous episode regarding that, about my thoughts on that decision.
Are we missing any trucks?
We have Bollinger, but Bollinger's like really low production and even more expensive than the Hummer. We have Lordstown.
Oh yeah, Lordstown.
The Endurance is supposed to be 2022 as well, or early 2023.
Can't forget the Nikola Badger. That's my favorite. That's the one I'm going to reserve.
That is dated for Infinity, so we're going to wait really patiently for that one.
So this segment has been interesting because we saw a lot of companies like Atlas, Bollinger, and even Nikola kind of jumped in because there was opportunity, because the space wasn't actually filled. I mean, even Rivian. The only reason they were able to get their names out there was because there was just no other electric truck even talked about.
I mean, yeah, the Model S came out in 2012, and all those years, no trucks.
No truck.
I think.
But then, they just couldn't do it in time. None of these companies were able to produce an electric truck in time, and the newer companies like Tesla, Ford, kind of just jumped on and said, "Yeah, we'll do it." And they'll probably beat the older companies to market. The companies that have been planning for years. When was Atlas opened? 2014?
16?
What about Bollinger? Bollinger's dated too.
Yeah.
It takes a lot longer for a new company to make an EV than it does, a company that has everything established.
And plus, trucks tend to have to deal with more stresses than a regular car. So not only do they have to come up with a vehicle from the ground up, they have to make sure it's even, stricter in its tolerances and how much load and torque it can handle. And so it just made a hard job even harder.
Do you think all these trucks will make it to market? Who do you think is going to get canceled out?
Well, strictly logically speaking, Atlas is more or less dependent on public funding, unless there are some investors that with deep pockets that can give them the amount of money they need to set up their factory.
I guess we could short summarize each of these. Atlas has no money. They have a lot of grand ambitions. They want to make a truck with 500 plus miles of range.
Yeah, and be able to charge in 5 minutes eventually.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
So It's a great truck in theory on a modular platform, but as of now, they
Oh
don't
yeah,
have the money to get there.
it's supposed to be modular. To just replace different parts, so you don't have to build a completely new car. And then they want to sell the actual platform. So if you have like a project car that you want to turn into an electric car, they'll sell you the platform. A lot of interesting stuff, but definitely
They're definitely trying.
handcuffed by lack of funds.
So that one's probably the highest
Risk.
likelihood. Well, I mean, don't forget the Nikola Badger. I don't think the Nikola Badger is coming. Do we have that confirmed yet? Did Trevor Milton cancel the Nikola Badger? Is that done?
Oh, the Nikola Badger canceled Trevor Milton.
Okay, Bollinger, I think, fell into that same situation where they were just they started early. They had all the time in the world, but they just couldn't get there in time. And now their segment's taken. Initially, this car came out, there was no one competing, but now we have the Hummer EV and now an electric Jeep Wrangler announced too.
Yeah, because Bollinger had that, rugged square box look to it, kind of like the old school Land Rover Defender, but at their asking price of like $150,000, it just doesn't make sense when the Hummer EV exists, which is already an expensive car, but still cheaper.
And a luxury vehicle.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. That's the hard sell about the Bollinger, because it's not really luxurious on the inside. It's pretty barren. So
and I don't know who wants to pay more for less.
Yeah, I imagine it's going to be supremely low volume if they actually do make it, and I don't know if they'll expand out.
If they survive, I'm fully putting that fault on GM and the Hummer.
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't survive,
or Chrysler and the Jeep.
Well, there's still a lot to know about this Jeep. We don't really have much information, but a Jeep Wrangler electric would be nice too. Do you think that's going to come out at the price of the Hummer? Do you think that'll compete with the Hummer, or will it just be electric Jeep Wrangler?
It should be less. I think it's going to be more expensive than the gasoline Jeep Wrangler, but well, Chrysler hasn't been making the best of decisions, so I'm not really gonna be super confident in them saying that it's not going to be super overpriced and hitting six figures. I really, really, really hope that it's not going to be that expensive. But maybe $50K, $60K, somewhere around there.
Lordstown was initially a project by Workhorse, which is an electric commercial fleet vehicle company. They make electric cars for
delivery, like UPS,
construction workers, UPS, vans,
delivery vans,
all the boring stuff. And they had a project for, hey, we're going to make an electric truck and we're going to make it publicly available. We're not just going to sell it to businesses, but we're also going to sell it to businesses. It's going to be a fleet vehicle, but we're going to offer it to the public. It was just be a very bare electric vehicle.
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Actually, it wasn't even a BEV. It was a plug-in hybrid. I don't know if you recall that.
Yeah, the W15. And then they took a stake in Lordstown, because I think Lordstown existed prior to them or concurrently with them.
Canceled it.
Yeah, and then they're like,
the W15.
And then they're like, Lordstown, you know what? You can take some of our truck things we developed for the pickup truck, and you can put them in your endurance thing. And
so the Workhorse W15 became the Lordstown Endurance, which is Lordstown's electric truck.
Yeah, very, very loosely.
They paid $25 million to license everything. Wow. So
it definitely looks
I think
better.
a lot went into play. It definitely looks better, and it looks less bare, and it's not just a fleet vehicle anymore. It now looks like it looks like a good truck. It's not just a heavy duty construction truck. You know what I mean?
One of Lordstown's claims to fame in the endurance is the fact that it's using 4 separate motors in each wheel,
and it's affordably priced.
Should be, $45,000 for pretty decent specs. It's supposed to be around 300 miles or mid 200s, somewhere along those lines. As the EV by motto is, that's more than enough for most people. So
now, how did I don't know Lordstown's backstory. How did they end up surviving? Of course, Workhorse survived because they were already established in a separate segment entirely.
GM
is Lordstown a new company, or they just got lucky with funding?
Well, GM gave them money.
Okay.
And then Lordstown
GM has a 10% stake in it, I believe.
And then Lordstown used that money to pay GM for their Lordstown factory. which is where they're making the trucks now. So GM paid itself to give them a factory or something like that. It's very interesting, you know. Obviously they're in Lordstown, Ohio, so
No,
like
I could be
Atlas.
wrong, but there's someone else who has a stake in Lordstown, but I forget who.
Workhorse.
Is it Ford?
I don't think no. Ford's a
I know Workhorse does have a stake in
yeah.
Lordstown as well.
I,
Maybe that's what I'm remembering.
yeah. But they seem to they've been definitely they seem to be on the wave. They don't seem to be stumbling. They're given pretty frequent updates about their progress, and it seems they have a lot of things secured and a timeline that's set. So Lordstown, I think, looks pretty
safe.
Pretty safe.
They have funding. They have contracts. They have players who know what they're doing, backing them.
They went public.
Yeah, and they're public
with a pretty dope ticker for a car company, Ride. I mean that's
pretty dope.
It's pretty dope.
Pretty dope.
Some points for that.
So next up, Rivian. Rivian's been around since 2009, so they were actually the first. And I think time saved them here. I think that extra time is probably what kept them running. They're actually the most funded right now, right?
Yeah, and they really took their time because no one prior to I don't know who prior to 2018 or 2019 when they revealed the R1T and the R1S at the Los Angeles Auto Show knew who Rivian was. But they took their time. Well, you know, definitely not the general public.
No. I think the general public still doesn't know this.
Well,
I think if we get outside of the EV crowd, I think the general public still has no idea who Rivian
well
is,
then
or any of these on this list.
Well then even less so back then. So they were able to put their heads down and work on whatever they wanted to without having to have constant public pressure to deliver something to the public eyes. So, you know, kind of, you know, since the theme of this episode seems to be throwing digs at Nikola, is the complete opposite of what Trevor Milton did with the Nikola Badger. The first time we saw a car from them was essentially a finished car instead of just a drawing. So Rivian is ridiculous in the amount of money that has been thrown into them. Amazon put their faith in them, giving them a contract for 100,000 vans over 5 years,
and putting billions worth for a stake of the company.
Yeah, Ford putting in money. All these.
They're backed by everyone. Basically.
Yeah. I think
some of the same backers of Tesla.
Exactly. Everyone who backed Tesla in the beginning probably backs Rivian now here. So it's probably the most hyped and exciting EV company since Tesla. I mean,
it's kind of funny because it's probably the truck on this list that has the least unique features or specs.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's competitive, but you know, it doesn't have 5-minute charging like Atlas. It doesn't have autonomous driving like the Cybertruck.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have, you know, unique motors like Lordstown. It's the least unique on this list, and it's still the highest anticipated. It's still the most funded because they kind of just thought, hey, we're just gonna make this good.
Gio, I'm ashamed. How could you forget the kitchen?
The kitchen's not really a feature of the car itself, though. It's like an addition. I mean, I'm a fan of the kitchen. I love the kitchen. But it's not really like I feel like I could add that to any car that has the space. It's not part of the
I don't know, man.
drivetrain or anything.
You've been telling me in private that, you know, the kitchen might sell you on the Rivian. That's all it needs. So, you know.
Do you think the future of trucks or kitchens? Do you think Rivian is now?
No, don't even start.
Did you see the stats on that and the percent of people who purchased the kitchen? I don't remember the exact number, but I remember it being a lot higher than I thought.
Wasn't it like 30 something %?
That's a lot.
That's more than I expected. Yeah.
The kitchen is the future of cars. You heard it here first.
I don't remember how much was that option. It was like $5,000.
Yeah, it's $5,000.
But it includes everything, and like it includes all
the
cutlery and the dishes. Yeah.
Does it include the cutlery? It says that the cutlery and the pots are optional,
it was extra,
but it doesn't show the price.
Yeah,
so I don't know
right.
if it includes it.
You're right. But still, Yeah, Rivian's most unique feature is their tunnel system storage, which is used to house the kitchen things. But hey, they've been doing
It's
everything
not
right.
really a work truck. It's not really a work
Yeah, it's
truck.
pretty
It
small.
has a small bed.
Yeah,
It's a small truck. It's like a little bit bigger than a Ford Ranger.
yeah. It
Uh, Range wise, it's great range. What, 400 or 500 miles with the large
it's
battery?
supposed to be 300 to 400 and 500.
300 or 400 to
Yeah.
5.
It's
Price is competitive.
yeah. The mid range is about mid 60s. It's the perfect truck for anyone who doesn't like need a truck.
Mhm.
It's the perfect, and that's a big market, I think. People that previously weren't interested in trucks, but you know, they saw the Cybertruck and the Rivian, and they're like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." Like that car right there, the R1T. That's their bread and butter in terms of market, and
It's the
that's
first one coming out, so I
yeah,
mean, if they do well with it, I think we'll see a lot of people converting their orders for some of these other trucks into Rivian orders.
perhaps yeah. We'll see.
It'll be the first one people get to touch and feel.
Mm-hmm. If only there's enough showrooms. There's like a couple showrooms, but I think they definitely need to have more. I mean, look at Lucid. The car's not out for another half year, almost alongside the the the, the Rivian truck. But they already have showrooms where people can look in and see the car and whatnot. So I think they're kind of shooting themselves a little bit in the foot by not having nationwide showrooms yet. What was that leave?
So,
Cybertruck?
yeah, Cybertruck, that's the final one. I mean,
Well, the
everyone knows
Ford,
about the Cybertruck.
yeah. Well, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
the electric Ford F-150, but we know.
the like for F-150 it's interesting because, well, we don't know, but I anticipate it's going to be very low range. I'm thinking sub 250, maybe even sub 200. Ford made a lot of statements saying
yeah,
that
we made a
this
bet
is
about
a work vehicle, and that their data shows that the average fleet driver only drives X amount, and it makes sense as a work vehicle. It makes sense as a fleet vehicle, as a commercial vehicle. Even workhorses, vans don't do any more than 200 miles, and they sell those to
Ye-
fleet purposes.
But do you feel like it's just going to be that? You don't think there's going to be
I
like the public version and then like a
well,
commercial version?
remember, we also have the e-transit. So Ford is clearly focusing first on fleet purposes. They're going to be the guys that show, hey, you're going to save money with this in your business versus a gasoline or a diesel.
Yeah, but I
I
feel
think they're obviously going to sell it to regular people. I mean, you could buy a transit vehicle. I could buy an F-250 or an F-350 commercial car from Ford. There's nothing stopping. But I think that range-wise and spec-wise, they're going to focus on business use. At least the first round, maybe the following V2 F-150 electric we'll see better range.
yeah, but to be fair, there's more people that drive trucks for, non-commercial daily tasks than do vans. So I think it's not exactly the same comparison. I mean, Ford should have an F-150 that is desirable for the average consumer.
I think as an electric truck in the year 2022, which is when this F-150 is supposedly set to be released,
Or 2023.
I think there is more of a market in commercial trucks than there is in retail electric trucks because of that cost savings. I think it might not be the best play from me wanting to see more EVs on the road,
Mm-hmm.
but for Ford as a company is just trying to sell more cars, I think they'll sell more focusing towards fleet vehicles. I do think we'll see it upgraded and maybe they'll have a long range version, but I'm not expecting that to have high range. And they might be the lowest range EV on this list, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have the range
Supposedly,
number.
I mean,
I got to
you're,
stress, yeah, we
yeah,
don't.
you're, yeah.
This is just based off of statements that they've made about not needing range, that they're focusing on fleet, and yada yada yada. Do we have range on the e-transit?
126.
Yeah, so that come on,
Yeah, but
guys.
that's always been a
Come on.
commercial, thing. There's no,
Yeah.
Regular
Yeah.
people don't drive vans.
I mean, some do. But yeah,
I just-
yeah.
I'm sorry to the people that drive vans for pleasure. I didn't mean anything by it.
The ID Buzz does. That's
At least ID Buzz got windows. I mean, the e-transit doesn't even have windows.
I mean, there's still tech in F-150. It's still gonna have the same autonomy that the Mach-E is gonna have. It's still going to have the same interface, the same software. So you would think that that wouldn't really be used for fleet purposes, and that's going to be towards retail customers. But I don't, in 2022, if they do go with what I'm expecting and do a low range EV, I don't know how good it'll look 2 years from now.
All I'm saying is the only teaser we have of the electric Ford F-150 is a teaser of its front light bar. And that does not scream commercial purposes to me. That screams, I need the general public to look at the front of this car and go, that looks good.
We'll see.
Damn.
We'll see. But if it's not Ford doing fleet EVs, who is? Lordstown?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I feel like there's going to be two versions, you know?
Who's making the fleet EV? 2023 comes, what electric truck is being sold the most in fleet? Price-wise, you really only have Lordstown.
Well, Lordstown's the cheapest. I mean,
And
if Atlas can get funding, then that's their main consumer base. So
if they make it.
If they make it.
So the only thing left on this list is the Cybertruck.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone knows of the Cybertruck.
Yeah, I don't.
I shouldn't have to sit here and explain to you what the Cybertruck is.
No.
I'll be a little disappointed if you ask me, hey, what about the Cybertruck? This is not me skipping over the Cybertruck. This is me shaming you for not knowing the Cybertruck.
You should be as tired of listening about the Cybertruck as I am talking about the Cybertruck.
I guess the Cybertruck could also be used for fleet purposes. It's also very affordable. It's more affordable than the Lordstown and more affordable than everything else, right?
Yeah, but the cheapest one doesn't come out till late 2022.
Late 2022. So
yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's when most of these are going to be coming out anyway.
True.
Other than Rivian, I don't think anyone's coming this year. Rivian and the Cybertruck at the end of this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. Don't do it. Don't make me talk about the Cybertruck. It's just, it looks cyberpunk. It has.
No, we're gonna talk about it.
It has autopilot. It got the big range. It got the big power. I mean, its bed is also not the longest, but it does have that cool Volt thing on it.
No, I think it has a standard bed size.
Is it a standard bed size?
I think so. I think it's a standard bed size.
I'll believe you. It doesn't look that big, but I'll believe that it's a standard.
The only one that doesn't have a standard bed size, I believe, is the Rivian, and the Bollinger actually has an interesting bed size because it's the longest because it can go through the whole car.
Yeah, they got the whole tunnel thing through the entire car, which is pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, the Cybertruck, as everything with Tesla, is probably going to be the truck to beat if they get it done. Because
who's winning right now based off of range? Is the Cybertruck currently in the lead? Based all things considered, build quality, luxuries, specs, design. Who currently has the lead if all of these trucks are available today?
Listen, if you don't mind not having a traditional car look, your Cybertruck wins. If you look at the Cybertruck and you just want to die when you look at it, then probably the Rivian. That being said, while the Cybertruck is supposedly less than a year away, we haven't seen the full production version of it, especially the interior. Mm-hmm. The only thing about the interior we've seen is those couple pictures on the website, and then nothing else. And in typical Tesla fashion, it's a pretty minimalistic look with just their yoke steering wheel and a center console screen, and that's it. And like I've said multiple times, for some people, that's just not a vibe, and they want more things going on in the interior, and that just doesn't do it for them. So in terms of the performance, I think any car we just mentioned is pretty decent. Rivian, you're obviously going to be paying more than the comparable Cybertruck, but you are getting a more traditional look and hopefully higher end materials on the interior, I would hope. But the Rivian and the Cybertruck are just, I think, both the trucks to beat. Can't really go wrong with either if money isn't too big of an issue.
Is there any other that you're excited for?
Well, I want to see the Ford F-150 just because, like, that's been the dominant car. That is, and I know you always, Dennis, it's not fair because they lump in the F-150 and F-250, and I get it. But the F-Series has been the highest selling car in America forever. So I want to see what Ford will pull out of their hat to retain that dominance as we move towards electric pickups. I want to see if they truly bring a super competitive electric truck that makes people doubt their purchase decisions for the Cybertruck or the Rivian. The Atlas, I wish them all the luck because I like everything they got going on and all the ambitions. I hope they get the funding to be able to do it. So, my thoughts and prayers out to them. And then last but not least, I have to give one out to the Nikola Badger. I hope to see it one day in the future.
I don't think we're gonna see the Nikola Badger.
No, but Trevor Milne told me.
No, I think that ship has sailed. I think Nikola Badger no more.
It's okay. Trevor Milne will just make Nikola 2, and he's gonna give me the Nikola Badger 2, and that will be it.
Which truck do you think Trevor Milton has on pre-order?
I don't know. I don't think Trevor Milne drives a truck. Once again, this list is very barren of, and I'm coming for you, Japan. It's barren of Japanese trucks.
But there's no Japanese trucks in general, at least not here. They are overseas.
The Toyota Tundra exists.
But they don't sell well.
They sell well enough. The Nissan Titan, I think it's called. They got. There's another truck company we forgot to talk about, Hercules, but I admittedly know nothing about them. I just know that there's been rumors that they are going to be working with Nissan on an electric truck. But other than that, that's all I know, right? That's Nissan, that's Toyota. Honda, I don't even know if the Ridgeline exists anymore. I understand the trucks are not as popular in Japan, but damn it, they make them. And once again, if there's an opportunity for me to shame Japan for not having enough electric cars, I'm going to take it. So this is me taking that opportunity to once again shame the entire island of Japan for not having enough electric cars. The Europeans are safe because they just don't believe in pickup trucks at all whatsoever. So they get to avoid my fury for this. That being said, electric Dodge Ram, where are you at? Electric Chevy, Silverado, where are you at? I guess GM was banking on making the Nikola Badger a Chevy Silverado somehow, but that's not going to happen.
And GM also has the investment in Lordstown. They did just announce how many vehicles by 2025? I'd hope a truck is in there.
20 or 25?
I'd hope that a truck is planned.
I hope so. A truck is planned too. So we have, as with everything, we're just sitting here waiting for the dams to open up and all these cars to release, and we'll get to see who did well, who met their expectations, and who didn't.
We'll have to revisit this in 3-4 years. Yeah.
I mean, because let's be honest, even if we wait just 1 year, it's just going to be like, so the Rivian came out, and 100 Cybertrucks came out. So that's what those trucks look like.